The alarm screamed through the research station like a dying animal. Dr. Sarah Chen ran down the metal corridor, her boots making loud sounds on the floor. Behind her, the other scientists were running too. Everyone was scared. "Get to the safe room," someone yelled. Sarah did not stop. She had to reach the lab. She had to see if it was real. The Zenith fleet had arrived 3 hours early. Nobody expected them to come so soon. The defense forces were not ready. Earth had maybe 2 days before the aliens would attack. She pushed through the lab doors. Inside, the massive chamber held the device. It sat in the center of the room like a sleeping giant. The Bhatti 180. Most people said it was impossible to build. The Galactic Council had laughed when humans first showed the plans. They said the math was wrong. They said humans did not understand real physics, but humans had built it anyway. "Dr. Chen," a young technician named Rodriguez grabbed her arm. "We need to evacuate. The Zenith are sending scout ships. They will be here in 20 minutes. Sarah pulled her arm free. "Has anyone contacted General Hartley?" "The general is at the command center. All military forces are preparing to engage the enemy." Sarah walked to the control panel. Her hands moved over the switches and buttons. She had spent 5 years working on this project. 5 years of calculations, tests, and failures. The other species in the galaxy had warned Earth. They said humans were too young, too stupid, too weak to survive in space. When the Zenith demanded that Earth surrender, the Council had told humanity to just give up. Humans had said no. The device began to hum, low at first, then growing louder. The sound made Sarah's teeth hurt. Rodriguez stepped back, his eyes wide. "Doctor, what are you doing?" "My job," Sarah said. She thought about the first time she had seen the Zenith. It was on a video transmission. They were tall, with gray skin and too many arms. Their ambassador had spoken in a cold voice. He said Earth had resources they needed. He said humans should be grateful to serve the Zenith Empire. He said resistance was foolish. The human ambassador had stood up during that meeting. He was an old man named Cooper. He had looked at the Zenith ambassador and smiled. Then he said 4 words that changed everything. "Come and take it." The Zenith had been shocked. No young species had ever refused them. They declared war the next day. That was 6 months ago. Since then, Earth had been preparing. Every nation worked together. Old enemies became friends. Everyone knew what was coming. Sarah entered the final sequence. The Bhatti 180 began to glow. Blue light filled the room. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "Doctor," Rodriguez was almost crying now, "we don't know if this will work. The simulations showed only a 30% success rate." "Then we better hope we are lucky," Sarah said. Her communicator buzzed. It was General Hartley. His face appeared on the small screen. He looked tired and old. "Dr. Chen, I hope you are evacuating." "No, sir. I am activating the Bhatti." The general was quiet for a moment. Sarah could hear explosions in the background. The battle had started. "Sarah," the general said softly, using her first name, "we do not have authorization for that. The president has not given the order." "The president is in a bunker 300 miles away. The Zenith will destroy this facility in 15 minutes. If we do not use it now, we will never get another chance." More silence. Then the general nodded slowly. "Do it. I will take responsibility." The transmission ended. Sarah took a deep breath. Her finger moved to the final button, the activation switch. Once she pressed it, there was no going back. The Bhatti 180 would either save Earth or destroy everything. Rodriguez stood next to her now. He was not running anymore. "If we die, I just want you to know you were a great teacher," he said. Sarah almost laughed. "If we die, nobody will remember any of us." She pressed the button. The device exploded with light. Not an explosion that destroyed things, but light that seemed to fill every space, every corner, every shadow. Sarah felt it pass through her body. It did not hurt. It felt strange, like being in water and air at the same time. The hum became a roar. The walls shook. Equipment fell from tables. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Sarah held onto the control panel. She watched the numbers on the screen climb higher and higher. Outside, through the thick windows, she could see the sky. The Zenith scout ships were coming down through the clouds. They looked like black knives cutting through the air. Their weapons were charging. In seconds, they would fire. The Bhatti 180 reached full power. Sarah felt something change. It was hard to explain. The air felt different. Time felt different. Everything felt different. On the screen, new data began to appear. Numbers and graphs that Sarah had only seen in simulations. Her heart beat faster. It was working. The impossible device was actually working. Rodriguez grabbed her shoulder. "Doctor, look!" The Zenith ships had stopped. They were just floating in the air, not moving. Their weapons were not firing. They looked frozen in place. "What is happening?" Rodriguez asked. Sarah checked her instruments. Her hands were shaking. She read the data once, then twice, then a third time. She could not believe it. "It worked," she whispered. "Oh my God, it actually worked." The Bhatti 180 had activated. The weapon that everyone said was impossible to build was now online. And the Zenith were about to learn why humans were more dangerous than anyone thought. Earth's real war was about to begin. The Zenith command ship hung in orbit above Earth like a dark moon. Inside, Commander Zrel watched his tactical display with growing confusion. His forearms twitched with irritation. Something was wrong. "Status report," he demanded. His weapons officer turned two of her three eyes toward him. "Sir, all scout ships have stopped responding. Their power signatures are still active, but they are not moving. Communications? No response on any channel." Zarel's skin darkened to angry gray. "How many ships?" "All 12 scout ships, sir. They entered the atmosphere 14 minutes ago. They reached the human research facility and then just stopped." This made no sense. The humans had no weapons that could do this. Earth was a primitive world. They had only been in space for a few hundred years. They barely understood gravity manipulation. Their ships were slow and clumsy. Their weapons were simple kinetics and explosives. The Zenith Empire had conquered 300 worlds. Earth should have been easy. "Send a recovery team," Zrel ordered. "Find out what happened to those ships." But even as he spoke, he felt something strange. A tingling in his bones, a pressure in the air. Something had changed. Back on Earth, in the research facility, Sarah watched her screens with wide eyes. The data flooding in was beyond anything she had imagined. The Bhatti 180 was not just working, it was working perfectly. "Doctor, I do not understand these readings," Rodriguez said. He was staring at his own monitor. "According to this, we have created a field that extends 17,000 kilometers in every direction." "That is correct," Sarah said. Her voice was shaky with excitement and fear. "But that is impossible. The calculations said the field would only reach maybe 200 kilometers at maximum power." Sarah smiled. It was not a happy smile. "We were wrong about a lot of things. Turns out humans understand physics better than the Galactic Council thought." She pulled up a new display. It showed Earth and the space around it. A blue sphere surrounded the planet, stretching far into orbit. Inside that sphere, dozens of red dots were visible. Those were Zenith ships. "What does the field do?" Rodriguez asked. Sarah had explained this 100 times to the military leaders and politicians, but saying it out loud now, with the device actually working, felt different, heavier. "The Bhatti field manipulates quantum probability," she said. "It creates a space where certain physical laws can be adjusted." "In simple words, please, Doctor." "We can change the rules of reality inside the field. Not completely, but enough." Sarah pointed at the frozen scout ships on another screen. "Right now, I have increased the mass of specific elements in their ships. The titanium in their hulls now weighs about 1,000 times more than it should." Rodriguez went pale. So the ships are too heavy to move? Not just too heavy, the structural stress is tearing them apart from the inside. Slowly, but steadily. Sarah felt sick saying it. This was not why she became a scientist. But the Zenith had not given Earth a choice. Her communicator buzzed again. This time it was not General Hartley. The face on the screen belonged to President Morrison. She was a short woman with steel gray hair and hard eyes. Dr. Chen, explain what you have done. Madam President, I activated the Bhatti 180. It is functioning correctly. The Zenith scout ships have been neutralized. Without authorization? Yes, ma'am. The president was quiet for a moment. Sarah could see other people in the background, all talking urgently. The command bunker must be chaos right now. The Zenith commander is attempting to contact us, the president said. He wants to negotiate. That has never happened before. They always just attack. That is because they are scared, Sarah said. They do not know what hit them. Can you target the ships in orbit? Sarah looked at her controls. Yes, Madam President. All Zenith vessels within the field are vulnerable, but using the weapon on that scale will require enormous power. We can maintain it for maybe 6 hours before the reactors overheat. 6 hours, the president repeated. And then? Then we need to shut down for at least 12 hours to cool the system. During that time, we are defenseless. The president nodded slowly. Keep the weapon active. I will speak with the Zenith commander. Perhaps we can make them understand that attacking Earth was a mistake. The transmission ended. Sarah slumped in her chair. Her whole body ached with tension. Rodriguez brought her water, and she drank it gratefully. We really did it, Rodriguez said softly. We built an impossible weapon. We built it because we had to, Sarah replied. The galaxy thinks humans are weak. They think because we are young, we do not matter. They forgot something important. What is that? Young species have nothing to lose. We fight harder because we must. Above Earth, Commander Zrel received a message from the human government. He read it with growing disbelief. The humans were demanding that the Zenith fleet withdraw. They were threatening to destroy every ship in orbit if the Empire did not leave Earth's system immediately. This is insane, Zrel said. They cannot threaten us. We are the Zenith Empire. His second officer, a veteran of 50 campaigns, spoke carefully. Sir, 12 scout ships have been disabled. We do not know how the humans did this. Perhaps we should consider their demands. Retreat from a primitive world? The Empire would never forgive such cowardice. With respect, Commander, the Empire would not forgive losing an entire fleet either. Zrel's skin flushed darker with rage. But his officer was right. Something had happened down on that planet. Something unexpected. The humans had surprised them. He hated surprises. Send a message to Fleet Command, Zrel said finally. Tell them we have encountered unexpected resistance. Request instructions. Yes, sir, but that message will take 6 hours to reach Fleet Command and 6 more for their response. 12 hours. Half a day to wait while his ship sat helplessly in range of whatever weapon the humans had deployed. Zrel felt fear for the first time in many years. On Earth, Sarah watched the Zenith fleet on her displays. They were not attacking. They were not moving. They were waiting. What do you think they will do? Rodriguez asked. Sarah thought about everything she knew about the Zenith. They were proud. They were cruel. They believed in strength above all else. They had never retreated from a battle. But they also were not stupid. They knew when they had walked into a trap. They will wait for orders from their commanders, Sarah said, and they will try to figure out how our weapon works. They will want to copy it or find a way to defeat it. Can they? Sarah did not answer right away. The truth was complicated. The Bhatti 180 was incredibly powerful, but it had weaknesses. The field could only affect matter within its range. Ships outside the sphere were safe. The weapon also consumed massive amounts of energy. Earth's power grid was already struggling to keep it running. And there was another problem. A bigger problem that nobody else knew about yet. Rodriguez, pull up the deep scan data from the activation sequence. He typed quickly. Here, what am I looking for? Sarah pointed at a series of numbers on the screen. There, see that variance? Yes, it shows some kind of quantum fluctuation. Is that bad? It means the field is not completely stable. Every time we use it, there is a chance it will collapse, or worse. Worse? What could be worse than the field collapsing? Sarah met his eyes. The field could expand uncontrollably. It could engulf the entire planet. If that happens, if we lose control of the quantum probability manipulation, reality itself could become unstable in the affected area. Rodriguez's face went white. You mean we could destroy Earth trying to save it? Yes, that is exactly what I mean. 3,000 kilometers above Earth's surface, a small ship drifted silently through space. It was not a zenith ship. The beings inside were watching the conflict with great interest. The humans have activated a probability weapon, one of them said. Her voice sounded like wind through crystals. This is remarkable. Her companion, an ancient being with skin like starlight, nodded slowly. The council said it could not be done. They said the mathematics were flawed. The council was wrong. The council is often wrong about humans. They continued to watch. They had been observing Earth for a long time. Humans did not know they were being watched. That was intentional. Young species develop better when left alone. But now, things had changed. The Zenith attack had forced humanity to reveal a weapon that should not exist. The observers would need to file a report. The council would not be happy. Back in the research facility, Sarah stood before a holographic display showing President Morrison and her military advisors. General Hartley was there too, looking exhausted. Dr. Chen, the president said, you need to explain this weapon to us in terms we can understand. How does it work? Sarah took a breath. Imagine reality is like a piece of cloth. The threads of that cloth are quantum particles and their probability states. Normally, those threads are woven tightly together. They follow specific patterns we call physical laws. Go on, the president said. The Bhatti field loosens those threads in a controlled area. We can then reweave them slightly, change the patterns, make certain elements heavier or lighter, make energy behave differently, make space itself compress or expand. One of the military advisors, an admiral named Kowalski, leaned forward. So you can change the laws of physics? Not change them completely, just adjust them within specific parameters. Think of it like tuning a musical instrument. The instrument still makes music, but we can change the notes. What are the limitations? General Hartley asked. Sarah highlighted several points on her display. First, the field has a maximum range. Right now it extends about 17,000 kilometers. Everything beyond that is unaffected. Second, the field requires massive energy. We are draining Earth's power reserves at an alarming rate. Third, the field is unstable. The longer we run it, the more dangerous it becomes. How dangerous? President Morrison asked. Catastrophic, Sarah said simply. If the field collapses uncontrollably, it could create a cascade effect. Reality within the field zone could become unpredictable. Matter might not follow any physical laws at all. The room went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Earth could be destroyed not by the Zenith, but by its own weapon. How long can we safely run the device? The president asked. Conservatively, 4 more hours. After that, the risk increases exponentially every minute. General Hartley rubbed his face. 4 hours? Can we defeat the Zenith fleet in 4 hours? Defeat them? Maybe. Destroy them? Definitely. Sarah pulled up another display. If I increase the field's intensity, I can do to the capital ships what I did to the scout ships. They will tear themselves apart, but doing that will reduce our safe operation time to maybe 2 hours. Admiral Kowalski spoke up. What about the Zenith reinforcements? Intelligence suggests they have 3 more fleets within range. If we destroy this fleet, they will just send more. Then we need to send a message they cannot ignore, General Hartley said. His voice was hard. Dr. Chen, how many Zenith ships are currently in our field? Sarah checked her data. 47 combat vessels, ranging from scout ships to their command dreadnought, plus various support craft, maybe 70 ships total. If we destroy all of them, will the Zenith understand that Earth can defend itself? The Zenith understands strength, Admiral Kowalski said. They might respect a show of force, or it might make them angrier. President Morrison stood up. Sarah could see the weight of command on her shoulders. One decision, billions of lives hanging in the balance. Dr. Chen, can we disable the ships without destroying them? Can we hold them hostage? Sarah thought carefully. Yes, I can maintain the current field intensity. The ships cannot move or fight back, but they remain intact. Their crews are alive but helpless. Do it, keep them frozen in place. I will negotiate with Commander Zurel. The President turned to General Hartley. Prepare our defense forces. If negotiation fails, we destroy the Zenith fleet and prepare for their reinforcements. Yes, Madam President. The hologram faded. Sarah sat back down, her legs shaky. Rodriguez handed her more water. Do you think they will negotiate? He asked. The Zenith? I do not know. They are not used to being the weak ones. Sarah looked at the frozen ships on her monitor. For the first time in their history, they are helpless. That might make them reasonable, or it might make them desperate. 20 minutes later, Commander Zurel appeared on Earth's communication channels. His image was transmitted to command centers around the world. Billions of humans watched as the alien commander spoke. I am Commander Zurel of the Zenith Empire, he said. His translator made his voice sound cold and mechanical. I speak on behalf of the Empire to the humans of Earth. President Morrison appeared on a split screen. I am President Morrison. I speak for humanity. Zurel's four arms moved in what might have been a gesture of respect or threat. You have deployed a weapon against our ships. This is an act of war. Commander, you brought a fleet to our world and threatened to conquer us. You declared war first. We are simply defending ourselves. The Empire does not recognize the right of primitive species to defend themselves against their betters. Sarah, watching from the lab, felt anger rise in her chest. Primitive. That word. The galaxy loved that word when talking about humans. President Morrison's voice remained calm. Commander, your ships are currently held by our defense system. Your weapons are useless. Your engines are offline. In 60 seconds, I can give the order to tear your vessels apart at the molecular level. I suggest you reconsider your definition of primitive. Zurel was silent. Sarah could see the calculation in his alien eyes. He was trying to decide if the president was bluffing. What do you want? He finally asked. Withdraw your fleet. Leave Earth's system. Return to your empire and tell them that humanity is not to be conquered. We will defend ourselves. And if you come back, we will destroy every ship you send. The Empire will not accept this humiliation. Then the Empire will lose ships. Many ships. We are not asking for war, Commander. We are asking for peace. But we will accept war if that is what the Empire demands. Zurel's image flickered. Someone on his ship was trying to speak to him. After a moment, he turned back to the screen. I must consult with Fleet Command. This decision is beyond my authority. You have 4 hours, President Morrison said. After that, our weapon reaches critical status. We will be forced to either destroy your ships or shut down our defense. I think you can guess which option we will choose. The transmission ended. Sarah let out a breath she did not know she was holding. 4 hours, Rodriguez said. That is how much time we have before the Bhatti becomes too dangerous to run. Yes. What if the Zenith do not decide in 4 hours? What if they wait for us to shut down? Sarah looked at her instruments. The field was stable for now, but she could see the small fluctuations growing larger. The weapon was like a tiger on a leash. Powerful and deadly, but increasingly hard to control. Then we have a problem, she said quietly. A very big problem. In orbit, Commander Zarel spoke urgently with his officers. The message to Fleet Command had been sent, but the response would take hours. He had to make a decision. What are our options? He asked. His weapons officer spoke first. We could attempt to overload their defensive field by firing all weapons simultaneously. The energy release might disrupt whatever technology they are using. And if it does not work, then we reveal our full capabilities to them. They will know exactly how powerful our weapons are, and we will still be trapped. His second officer added, Commander, we could also retreat, live to fight another day, study this weapon, find a weakness, return with a proper counter-strategy. Zarel's skin darkened. Retreat is not the Zenith way. With respect, sir, neither is dying uselessly. The commander looked at his tactical display. 70 ships, thousands of crew members, all of them depending on his decision, all of them trusting him to be wise, not just brave. What do we know about this human weapon? He asked. An intelligence officer pulled up data. Very little, sir. It appeared suddenly. No buildup of energy we could detect. No warning signs. It simply activated and our ships stopped working. That means the humans have been hiding this capability. Yes, sir, which suggests they have other capabilities we do not know about. Zarel felt cold fear in his core. If humans could hide a weapon this powerful, what else were they hiding? How much had the Galactic Council underestimated this species? Open a channel to the human president, he said finally. It is time to negotiate. The negotiation room was deep underground, protected by layers of concrete and steel. President Morrison sat across from a holographic projection of Commander Zarel. Between them, translators worked to ensure perfect understanding. There could be no mistakes, no misunderstandings. Commander, the president began, let us be clear about the situation. Your ships are disabled. Earth has demonstrated military capability that your empire did not expect. We can destroy your fleet, but we prefer not to. Zarel's forearms remained still, a sign of tension in Zenith body language. What are your terms? Simple. You withdraw all Zenith forces from Earth's system. You return to your empire and inform them that Earth is not a target for conquest. You leave us in peace. And in exchange, we release your ships. Your crews go home alive. Nobody else has to die today. Zarel's eyes narrowed. The Empire will see this as weakness. They will send more ships, bigger fleets. President Morrison leaned forward. Then we will disable those ships too. Commander, I need you to understand something. Humans do not want war with the Zenith Empire. We do not want war with anyone. But we will not be conquered. We will not surrender. We will fight with every weapon we have. And as you have seen today, we have weapons you did not know existed. You are bluffing. This weapon of yours must have limitations, energy requirements, operational constraints. Of course it has limitations. Every weapon does. But I assure you, Commander, we can maintain this field long enough to destroy your entire fleet 3 times over. The question is whether you want to test that claim. Silence filled the room. Sarah, watching the feed from the research lab, held her breath. Everything depended on this moment. Zarel finally spoke. I am a military commander. I follow orders from the Empire. I cannot simply withdraw without authorization. How long until you receive that authorization? Hours. Many hours. President Morrison checked a display. Sarah knew what she was looking at. The Bhatti field stability readings. Time was running out. Commander, I will be honest with you. Our weapon has operational limits. In 3 hours, we must either shut it down or risk catastrophic failure. If your empire has not responded by then, I will be forced to destroy your ships to ensure Earth's safety. I do not want to do that, but I will. You would kill thousands to save your world? without hesitation, just as you would, just as any commander would. The president's voice softened slightly. But there is another option. You can make the decision yourself. You can withdraw your forces on your own authority, claim you needed to regroup and assess the new threat. Your empire may punish you for that choice, but your crews will live. That counts for something. Zarel was quiet for a long time. Sarah imagined what he must be feeling. Pride fighting against pragmatism. Duty fighting against survival. If I withdraw, Zarel said slowly, the Empire will brand me a coward. I will lose my command, possibly my life. If you stay, you will definitely lose your life, along with everyone on those 70 ships. President Morrison paused. Commander, I have read your service record. Our intelligence is quite good. You have served the Empire for 30 years. You have won many battles. You are no coward. Making a tactical retreat in the face of superior force is not cowardice. It is wisdom. The Zenith do not value wisdom over honor. Then perhaps it is time they learn to. Back in the research facility, alarms started to sound. Sarah's hands flew over her controls. Rodriguez rushed to her side. What is wrong? He asked. The field is destabilizing faster than predicted. Look at these fluctuations. She pointed at her screen. We have maybe 2 hours now. Not 3. Can we stabilize it? I am trying, but the more energy we push into the field, the more unstable it becomes. It is a catch-22. Sarah opened a communication channel. General Hartley, this is Dr. Chen. We have a problem. The general's face appeared. How bad? Worse than we thought. The field will reach critical instability in 2 hours. After that, keeping it active becomes extremely dangerous. Meaning? Meaning if the Zenith have not withdrawn in 2 hours, we have 2 choices. Destroy them quickly and shut down, or shut down and hope they do not attack while we are vulnerable. General Hartley swore quietly. I will inform the President. Keep that weapon stable as long as you can. The transmission ended. Sarah looked at Rodriguez. The young technician looked terrified. We really might destroy Earth, couldn't we? He said. Yes, if the field collapses wrong, it could create a quantum cascade. Reality itself would become unstable in the affected area. Matter would not follow normal physical laws. Atoms might not hold together correctly. It would be like opening a door to chaos. Why did we build something so dangerous? Sarah thought about that question. Because we had to. Because the alternative was slavery or extinction. Sometimes survival requires taking terrible risks. She looked at the Bhatti 180, humming with barely contained power. Humanity had reached into the depths of physics and pulled out something that should not exist. They had broken rules that the galaxy said could not be broken, and now they were paying the price for that achievement. On the Zenith command ship, Zarel made his decision. He called his senior officers to the bridge. They gathered around him, waiting. I am ordering a full withdrawal, he said. All ships will prepare to leave Earth's system immediately. Shocked silence. Then his weapons officer spoke. Sir, we have not received authorization from Fleet Command. I know. I am taking responsibility for this decision. Commander, the Empire will not forgive this. I know that too. But I will not sacrifice this fleet for pride. The humans have demonstrated a weapon we cannot counter. Staying here accomplishes nothing except our deaths. Zarel looked at each of his officers. I am giving you all the option to note your protest in the official log. That way the Empire will know you disagreed with my decision. It may save your careers. His second officer stepped forward. Sir, if you are taking responsibility, then I will stand with you. We all will. He looked at the others. Right? One by one, the officers agreed. Zarel felt something he had not felt in years. Gratitude. Pride in his crew. Thank you. Now let us hope the humans keep their word and release our ships. He opened a channel to President Morrison. This is Commander Zarel. I am ordering my fleet to withdraw from Earth's system. We will leave peacefully. In exchange, I ask that you release our ships from your weapons effect. President Morrison nodded. Agreed. Dr. Chen will begin the release process immediately. Commander, you are making the right choice. History will decide that, Zarel said. I hope for both our sakes that we do not meet again on the battlefield. As do I. In the research lab, Sarah received the order. Rodriguez, begin field contraction, slowly. We need to release the ships gradually to avoid sudden stress on their systems. Yes, Doctor. Sarah's hands moved across the controls. The Bhatti field began to shrink, first releasing the outermost ships, then gradually working inward. She watched her monitors carefully. The Zenith vessels were regaining power. Their engines came back online. Weapons systems reactivated. Doctor, Rodriguez said nervously, what if they attack once they are free? Then we expand the field again and destroy them. But I do not think they will. Commander Zarel strikes me as a being who keeps his word. She was right. As each Zenith ship regained mobility, it immediately began moving away from Earth. No weapons fired, no threats broadcast. The fleet formed up and started accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. General Hartley appeared on Sarah's screen. Dr. Chen, the Zenith are withdrawing. You did it. You saved Earth. Sarah did not feel victorious. She felt exhausted and scared. We bought time, General. That is all. The Zenith Empire will not forget this. They will be back, with better ships, better weapons, better strategies. Then we will be ready. Will we? General, we got lucky. The Bhatti barely held together. If we had run it for another hour, it might have killed us all. We cannot depend on luck forever. So what do you suggest? Sarah looked at the massive device, still humming, in the center of the lab. We need to understand this weapon better, make it safer, more reliable, and we need to develop other defenses. The galaxy thinks humans are primitive. We need to show them that humanity can compete with anyone. You sound like you are planning for a long war. I am planning for survival, sir, which means being ready for anything. The general nodded. Do what you need to do, Doctor. You have proven that human ingenuity is our greatest weapon. Keep proving it. The transmission ended. Sarah began the shutdown sequence for the Bhatti 180. The hum gradually decreased. The blue glow faded. The weapon went dormant. Power levels dropping, Rodriguez reported. Field collapse is controlled. No anomalies detected. Good. Start the cooling cycle. We need this system ready to activate again within 12 hours if necessary. You think the Zenith will come back that soon? No, but someone else might. We just showed the entire galaxy that humans have technology that should not exist. That will make some species very interested in Earth and some very afraid. Rodriguez looked worried. Afraid? Why? Sarah pulled up a star map. It showed Earth and the surrounding systems. Hundreds of species, thousands of worlds, an entire galaxy that had been watching this confrontation. Because fear is rational when dealing with the unknown, Sarah said quietly. And right now, humanity is the most unknown quantity in the galaxy. We are the species that built an impossible weapon. We are the species that made the Zenith Empire retreat. Every civilization out there is asking the same question right now. What question? What else can humans do? 2 weeks after the Zenith retreat, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from 200 civilizations gathered in the Great Assembly on the neutral world of Terminus 7. The topic of discussion was obvious to everyone: Earth, humanity, and the weapon that should not exist. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the human delegation chamber, preparing his statement. He was Sarah's uncle, though few people knew that connection. The president had chosen him specifically for this moment. He understood both the science and the politics. The council chamber was enormous. Each species had their own section, designed for their specific biology. Some breathed methane, some required zero gravity, Some existed only as energy patterns, but all of them were focused on the same thing, the small blue world that had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The council chairman, a being called the Archon, spoke first. Its voice was translated into thousands of languages simultaneously. We gathered to discuss the human situation. Commander Zrel of the Zenith Empire has filed a formal complaint. He claims Earth has developed prohibited technology, specifically a quantum probability manipulator. Murmurs filled the chamber. Chen Wei had expected this. The galaxy had rules about certain weapons, rules designed to prevent young species from destroying themselves. The Bhatti 180 technically violated those rules. Ambassador Chen Wei of Earth, the Archon continued, you may present humanity's position. Chen Wei stepped forward. He had practiced this speech 100 times. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Honorable Council members, Earth acknowledges that we have developed advanced defensive technology. We did this out of necessity. The Zenith Empire threatened our world with conquest. We had three choices: surrender, die, or defend ourselves. We chose to defend. A Zenith representative stood up. The technology you developed is forbidden under Section 7 of the Galactic Compact. Probability weapons are banned because they are too dangerous, too unpredictable. You have violated galactic law. We never agreed to the Galactic Compact, Chen Wei replied calmly. Earth was not invited to join the Council until after we demonstrated the capability to defend ourselves. You cannot hold us to rules we were never allowed to help create. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Neither is conquest. Your empire came to our world with weapons and threats. What did you expect us to do? Simply accept slavery? The Archon raised one of its many appendages. Silence fell. Ambassador Chen Wei is correct. Earth was not a council member when they developed their weapon. They were acting in legitimate self-defense. However, now that we are aware of this technology, the Council must determine if Earth should be allowed to keep it. Chen Wei felt ice in his stomach. This was the real danger. Not punishment for breaking rules, but forced disarmament. The Council could demand Earth destroy the Bhatti 180, and if Earth refused, they could authorize military action to enforce that demand. The weapon is dangerous, another representative said. This one was from the Krill Collective, an ancient and powerful civilization. Probability manipulators have destroyed worlds before. We ban them for good reason. How do we know Earth can control their device? We have already controlled it, Chen Wei said. We used it precisely. We disabled enemy ships without destroying them. We could have killed thousands but chose not to. That demonstrates restraint and responsibility. Once, the Krill representative shot back. You have used it once. That proves nothing. What happens the next time? What if your weapon malfunctions? What if it destabilizes and creates a reality cascade that spreads beyond Earth? Your entire region of space could become uninhabitable. Chen Wei could not argue with that fear. It was legitimate. Sarah had warned about exactly that danger. The Bhatti 180 was powerful but unstable. One mistake could be catastrophic. We are working to make the technology safer, he said. Our scientists are refining the design. We will share our safety protocols with the Council. We will accept inspections and oversight, but we will not disarm, not while threats exist. You mean the Zenith Empire? The Archon asked. I mean any threat. The galaxy is not safe. Wars happen constantly. Species conquer other species. Pirates raid colonies. Earth has seen all this in just our few centuries in space. We need the ability to protect ourselves. The debate continued for hours. Some representatives supported Earth's right to self-defense. Others demanded immediate disarmament. The Council was divided. Finally, the Archon called for order. This matter cannot be decided today. We need more information. I am sending an inspection team to Earth. They will examine this weapon, study its capabilities and dangers. Then the council will vote on what action to take. Chen Wei bowed slightly. Earth will cooperate with any reasonable inspection. We have nothing to hide. See that you do, Ambassador. The Council takes these matters seriously. If we determine that your weapon poses an unacceptable risk to galactic security, we will require its dismantlement, whether you agree or not. The session ended. Chen Wei returned to his quarters and immediately contacted Earth. President Morrison appeared on his screen. How did it go? She asked. As expected, the Council is scared. They are sending inspectors. After that, they will vote on whether to force us to destroy the Bhatti. Can they actually enforce such a decision? If they vote for it, yes. The Council has enforcement fleets, very powerful ones. If they decide we are a threat, they can authorize military action against Earth. The President was silent for a moment. So we stop the Zenith only to face the entire Council? Possibly. It depends on the inspection results. Madam President, we need the Bhatti to be as safe and controlled as possible when the inspectors arrive. Any sign of instability could doom us. I will contact Dr. Chen. She will make sure everything is perfect. Back on Earth, Sarah was already working on exactly that problem. The Bhatti 180 had performed well during the Zenith crisis, but the field instability had been terrifying. She needed to fix that before the Council inspectors arrived. Rodriguez helped her run simulations. What if we add more quantum stabilizers? He suggested. That would help, but it would also reduce the weapon's range. Right now, we can affect a sphere 17,000 kilometers across. Adding stabilizers might cut that in half. Is range worth the risk? Sarah thought about that. Maybe not. A smaller, safer field might actually be better. We could activate multiple Bhatti units in different locations, create overlapping fields. That would give us the same coverage with more control. So we need to build more weapons? Yes, but that takes time. The first Bhatti took 5 years to construct. Even with all our resources focused on it, a second unit would need at least 2 years. We do not have 2 years. The inspectors will be here in weeks. Sarah rubbed her tired eyes. Then we work with what we have. We make this one unit as safe as possible. We show the Council that humans can be trusted with powerful technology. A new technician, a woman named Okafor, spoke up from across the lab. Dr. Chen, I have been thinking, what if we demonstrate the weapon's precision? Show the inspectors that we can use it for non-combat purposes. Like what? Construction, manufacturing. If we can manipulate matter at the quantum level, we could use the Bhatti field to build things, refine materials, maybe even terraform planets. Imagine if we could show the Council that this technology has peaceful applications. Sarah felt excitement rise. That is brilliant. If we can prove the Bhatti is not just a weapon, but a tool for creation, the Council might see it differently. She pulled up the design schematics. Rodriguez, start running simulations on using the field for construction purposes. Okafor, contact the engineering departments at the universities. Get their best minds working on peaceful applications for quantum probability manipulation. If we are going to convince the galaxy that humans deserve this technology, we need to show them we can use it responsibly. The team worked day and night. Sarah barely slept. She knew what was at stake. If the Council decided Earth was too dangerous, too reckless, they could do more than just take away the Bhatti. They could quarantine Earth, cut humanity off from the rest of the galaxy, trap them in their own solar system. That could not happen. Humanity had fought too hard to reach the stars. They would not give up their place in the galaxy now. 3 weeks later, the inspection team arrived. 5 beings from different species, all experts in physics and weapons technology. They entered the research facility with serious expressions. The lead inspector was a krill named Theron. He had 12 eyes arranged in a circle around his head. He could see in every direction at once. Nothing escaped his notice. Dr. Chen, he said through his translator, We are here to evaluate your probability manipulation device. You will give us complete access to all systems, all data, all research. Nothing can be hidden. I understand, Sarah said. We will cooperate fully, but I ask that you approach this with an open mind. The Bhatti 180 was built to save lives, not end them. We will determine what it was built for, Theron replied. Now show us this weapon that has everyone so frightened. Sarah led them into the chamber. The Bhatti stood silent in the center of the room, a monument to human ingenuity and desperation. The inspectors circled it, scanning it with their instruments. They asked hundreds of questions. Sarah answered them all honestly. After 3 days of investigation, Theron called Sarah to a private meeting. Your weapon is remarkable, he said. The mathematics alone represent a breakthrough in quantum physics. My species has been studying these principles for 10,000 years. You achieved in decades what should have taken millennia. Thank you, Sarah said carefully. She could not tell if this was praise or accusation. But it is also incredibly dangerous, Theron continued. The field instability you experienced during the Zenith crisis nearly destroyed your planet. You were lucky, very lucky. Next time you might not be. We are working to improve the stability. I know. I have reviewed your modifications. They will help. But this technology is still years away from being truly safe. Maybe decades. Theron's 12 eyes focused on Sarah. I must ask you a question, Dr. Chen. As a scientist to a scientist. Was it worth it? Building something so dangerous? Was saving Earth worth potentially destroying it? Sarah met his gaze. Yes, because doing nothing would definitely have destroyed us. The Zenith were coming. We had no other options. We took a calculated risk. It paid off. I would make the same choice again. Theron was quiet for a long moment. Then you are either very brave or very foolish, perhaps both. He turned to leave, then stopped. For what it is worth, Dr. Chen, I will recommend that Earth be allowed to keep the weapon. With conditions and oversight, your species has earned the right to defend itself. Just try not to blow up the galaxy while you do it. 6 months after the inspection, Earth received the Council's decision. Sarah stood in the President's office as the message came through. Ambassador Chen Wei was present via hologram from Terminus 7. General Hartley stood by the window, looking out at the city below. The Archon's image appeared on the main screen. The Galactic Council has voted on the matter of Earth's probability manipulation weapon. The vote was 147 in favor of allowing Earth to retain the technology, with 43 opposed and 10 abstentions. Sarah felt relief flood through her body. They had won. Earth could keep the Bhatti, but the Archon was not finished. However, this permission comes with strict conditions. First, Earth must accept permanent Council observers at all facilities where the weapon is housed or studied. Second, any activation of the weapon must be reported to the Council within 1 standard hour. Third, Earth must share all research data related to the technology with the Council's Science Directorate. Fourth, Earth may not sell, trade, or share this technology with any other species without Council approval. And fifth, if at any time the Council determines the weapon poses an unacceptable risk, Earth must immediately comply with disarmament orders. President Morrison nodded slowly. These conditions are acceptable. Earth will comply fully. See that you do, President Morrison. The galaxy is watching your species now. You have proven that humans are capable of remarkable achievements. Now prove that you are wise enough to handle the power you have created. The transmission ended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then General Hartley turned from the window. Well, that could have gone worse. We get to keep our most powerful weapon. We just have to let them watch everything we do with it. It is a reasonable compromise, Ambassador Chen Wei said. The Council is legitimately concerned about the risks. If we want to be part of the galactic community, We have to accept some oversight. The question is whether we want to be part of that community, President Morrison said. They nearly forced us to disarm. They could still do so in the future. Are we really safe? Sarah spoke up. Madam President, no one is ever completely safe. But this decision gives us legitimacy. The Council has recognized our right to self-defense. That is important. It means other species cannot attack Earth without Council approval. What about the Zenith? Will they try again? Eventually, yes, but not soon. Commander Zarel filed his report. The Empire knows what happened. They will be cautious now. They will study the Bhatti, try to develop countermeasures. When they come back, they will be prepared. Then we need to be more prepared, General Hartley said. Dr. Chen, can we build more of these weapons? Sarah had been thinking about exactly that question for months. Yes and no. We can build more Bhatti units, but each one requires enormous resources, rare materials, specialized components, teams of expert scientists. We could maybe build one more unit per year. Maybe. That is not enough. If the Zenith come back with 100 ships, 2 or 3 Bhatti units will not be sufficient. Which is why we need to develop other technologies, Sarah said. The Bhatti is powerful, but it is just one weapon. We need a complete defense system, multiple layers, different capabilities. President Morrison leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Doctor? A comprehensive research program. We take what we learn from the Bhatti and apply it to other projects. We develop new propulsion systems so our ships can move faster, new shields so we can defend against energy weapons, new sensors so we can detect threats earlier. We turn Earth into a fortress that nobody wants to attack. That would require massive funding, the president said. It would require redirecting our entire economy toward defense and research. Yes, but the alternative is being conquered or destroyed. The galaxy is not kind to weak species. We need to be strong. General Hartley smiled. Dr. Chen sounds like a military planner now. I am a scientist who wants to stay alive, Sarah replied. And I want humanity to survive. That means being realistic about the threats we face. President Morrison thought for a long moment. Very well. I will propose this to the World Council, a global initiative to advance our defensive capabilities. Dr. Chen, you will lead the scientific efforts. General Hartley, you will coordinate military applications. We have been given a chance to prove ourselves. Let us not waste it. The meeting ended. Sarah returned to the research facility, feeling both excited and exhausted. There was so much work to do, so many problems to solve. But for the first time since the Zenith crisis, she felt hope. Real hope. Rodriguez met her at the lab entrance. Doctor, we have a situation. What kind of situation? A ship just entered orbit. Not Zenith. Not any species we recognize. They are requesting permission to speak with you specifically. Sarah felt cold fear. Me? Why me? They said they represent an organization called the Architects. They want to discuss the Bhatti technology. The Architects, Sarah had heard rumors about them. An ancient group that supposedly watched over the younger species in the galaxy. Nobody knew much about them. Most people thought they were just a legend. Did they say what they want? Just that it is urgent, and that it concerns the future of humanity. Sarah made a decision. Tell them I will meet with them, but the meeting happens here, in the facility, with full security present, and we record everything. An hour later, a small shuttle landed outside the research complex. One being emerged. It looked almost human, but not quite. The proportions were slightly wrong. The eyes were too large. The skin had a faint shimmer to it. Sarah met the being in a secure conference room. General Hartley watched via video link. Armed guards stood outside the door. Dr. Chen, the being said. Its voice was melodious and strange. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I am called Observer 7. I represent the Architects. What do the Architects want with Earth? to help, and to warn. Observer 7 sat down gracefully. Your species has accomplished something remarkable with the Bhatti technology. You have proven that humans possess exceptional creativity and determination. But you have also drawn attention to yourselves. Dangerous attention. From who? Many factions. The Zenith are not the only empire that sees Earth as a target. There are others, worse than the Zenith. They have been watching your development. When you activated the probability weapon, you sent a signal across the galaxy. A signal that said humanity has resources and knowledge worth taking. Sarah felt sick. So we are in more danger now than before we built the weapon? Yes and no. You are in danger because you are valuable, but you also have the means to defend yourselves now. That is the paradox of power. It protects you and makes you a target simultaneously. Observer 7 leaned forward. The architects have decided to offer Earth membership in our organization. We would provide protection, resources, and knowledge. In exchange, you would accept certain responsibilities. What kind of responsibilities? To use your power wisely, to help defend other young species when they are threatened, to advance the cause of peace and stability in the galaxy. Observer 7's large eyes seemed to see right through Sarah. The architects believe humanity has the potential to be a great force for good, but potential is not enough. You must choose what kind of species you want to be. And if we refuse your offer, then you face the galaxy alone. You survive or fall on your own merits. The architects will not interfere. We respect free will above all else. Sarah looked at the being before her. She did not know if she could trust it. The architects were mysterious, their motives unclear, but they were offering help at a time when Earth desperately needed it. I need to discuss this with my government, she said. Of course, take your time, but do not take too long. Other factions are already making plans. Some see Earth as a prize to be won. Others see you as a threat to be eliminated. The galaxy is moving, Dr. Chen. You must decide how humanity will move with it. Observer 7 stood to leave, then paused. One more thing. The Bhatti technology is more important than you realize. Not just as a weapon, but as a key to understanding the fundamental nature of reality. The architects have been studying these principles for millions of years. We still do not fully understand them, but you humans, in just a few decades, made a breakthrough that has eluded civilizations for eons. That is why you are so interesting and so dangerous. Dangerous? To who? To everyone, including yourselves. Observer 7 moved toward the door. The greatest discoveries are always double-edged, Dr. Chen. They can save you or destroy you. Sometimes both. Choose carefully how you use what you have created. The being left. Sarah sat alone in the conference room, her mind racing. General Hartley appeared on the screen. What do you think? He asked. I think we just learned that our problems are bigger than the Zenith Empire. Much bigger. Do you trust these architects? Sarah thought about that. I do not know, but I think they are telling the truth about one thing. The galaxy is watching us now, and not all of them wish us well. We need to be ready for anything. That night, Sarah could not sleep. She stood in the lab looking at the Bhatti 180, the weapon that had saved Earth, the weapon that had made Earth a target, the weapon that might still destroy them all. Okafor found her there. Doctor, you should rest. I cannot. Every time I close my eyes, I see the field collapse calculations. I see the quantum cascade scenarios. I see all the ways this could go wrong. We will make it safer. We will figure it out. Will we? What if Observer 7 is right? What if we have created something we cannot fully control? Something that is beyond our understanding? Okafor stood next to her, also looking at the device. Then we learn. That is what humans do. We make mistakes. We learn from them. We get better. Our ancestors made fire without understanding combustion. They built wheels without understanding physics. They flew planes before they understood aerodynamics. We always figure things out eventually. Sarah smiled slightly. That is optimistic. That is human. We do not give up. We do not back down. We solve problems, even impossible ones. Okafor put a hand on Sarah's shoulder. You saved Earth, Dr. Chen. You gave us a chance to survive. Now we take that chance and make the most of it. Together. Sarah felt some of her fear fade. Okafor was right. Humanity had always faced impossible challenges, and they had always found a way forward. This time would be no different. Thank you, Sarah said quietly. No, Doctor, thank you for having the courage to build an impossible weapon when we needed it most. 1 year after the Zenith retreat, Earth had changed dramatically. The research facility was now 10 times larger. Where once there had been one Bhatti unit, now there were 3. Construction had begun on 2 more. The sky above Earth was filled with new defense satellites. Human ships patrolled the outer solar system. Humanity was preparing for the next threat. Sarah walked through the expanded facility with a new team member. Her name was Dr. Amara Keita, a physicist from Ghana who specialized in quantum mechanics. She had joined the project 6 months ago and quickly proven herself brilliant. The stability improvements are working well, Amara said, reviewing data on her tablet. The new field regulators reduce fluctuation by 40%. We can run the Bhatti units for 8 hours now instead of 4. Good, but not good enough. We need to double that time. If a real battle happens, we might need the field active for days, not hours. That would require a complete redesign of the power distribution system, and probably new coolant mechanisms. It would take months. Then we start today. They entered the main control room. Rodriguez was there, now promoted to senior technician. He had 3 assistants working under him. The operation had grown so much that Sarah barely recognized it anymore. Dr. Chen, Rodriguez said, we have received a message from the council observers. They want to inspect the new Bhatti units. Sarah sighed. The council observers were a constant presence now. 3 beings who watched everything, reported everything, and questioned everything. She understood why they were necessary, but they made work difficult. Tell them they can schedule an inspection for tomorrow. Today we are too busy. They said it needs to be today. Why? They did not say, but they seemed urgent. Sarah exchanged glances with Amara. Something is wrong. The observers never rush unless there is a problem. Rodriguez, contact General Hartley. Tell him we might have a situation. Before Rodriguez could respond, alarms began blaring. Every screen in the control room lit up with warnings. Sarah ran to the main console. What is happening? Unknown ships entering the solar system, one of the technicians reported. Multiple contacts. They are not broadcasting any identification codes. Sarah pulled up the sensor data. Her blood went cold. 15 ships, large ones. They were not Zenith vessels. The hull design was different, more angular, more aggressive. Are they hostile? Unknown. They are heading directly toward Earth at high speed. They will be within weapons range in 30 minutes. Amara grabbed Sarah's arm. Should we activate the Bhatti? Not yet. We do not know who they are or what they want. Activating the weapon could be seen as an act of aggression. Sarah opened a communication channel. This is Dr. Sarah Chen at Earth Defense Facility 1. I need immediate contact with the President and General Hartley. Both appeared on split screens within seconds. President Morrison looked worried. General Hartley looked ready for war. We see them, the general said. All defense forces are at full alert. What do you recommend, Doctor? Wait for them to make the first move. Try to establish communication. If they attack, we activate the Bhatti immediately. Agreed, President Morrison said. I am already attempting to contact them. So far, no response. The minutes ticked by slowly. Sarah watched the unknown ships approach. They were moving fast, but not in an attack formation. They seemed to be heading for a specific location, near Earth, but not directly at it. Doctor, one of the technicians said. "The council observers are requesting to speak with you. They say it is urgent." "Put them through." The lead observer appeared. His name was Krell, a Vasi from a species known for their diplomatic skills. He looked frightened. "Dr. Chen, you need to activate your defensive systems immediately. Those ships belong to the Dreth Collective. They are raiders and slavers. They have come for Earth." Sarah felt ice in her stomach. "How do you know this?" "Because we have been tracking them for weeks. We warned the Council, but the message did not reach Earth in time. The Dreth have come to capture humans. Your species has become valuable in the slave markets. Since you demonstrated advanced intelligence with the Bhatti, traders have been willing to pay enormous prices for human specimens." "They want to kidnap people?" "Not just people, thousands of them. The Dreth operate massive slave colonies. They capture populations from unprotected worlds and sell them across the galaxy. Earth is their next target." Sarah immediately contacted President Morrison. "Madam President, we have confirmation. These are hostile forces. We need to activate the Bhatti now." "Do it," the President ordered. "General, prepare all forces for engagement." Sarah turned to her team. "Rodriguez, start the activation sequence. Amara, monitor field stability. Everyone else, battle stations. This is not a drill." The Bhatti units began to power up, all three of them simultaneously. Sarah had never activated more than one at a time. She had no idea if the fields would interact properly or interfere with each other. But there was no time for testing. The Dreth ships were 20 minutes away. "Field generators online," Rodriguez reported. "Power levels rising, 30%, 40%. "How long until full activation?" Sarah asked. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. The Dreth ships would be here in 20. That gave them 14 minutes to disable 15 enemy vessels. It would have to be enough. Sarah opened a channel to the Dreth ships. She did not expect a response, but she had to try. "Attention, unknown vessels. This is Earth Defense Command. You are approaching a protected world. Turn back immediately or you will be fired upon." Static. Then a voice responded. It was harsh and grating, even through the translator. "Earth has no authority to threaten the Dreth Collective. We claim salvage rights to your population under Galactic Trade Law Section 42. Resistance is illegal." "There is no such law," Sarah said. "There is in unaffiliated systems. Earth is not a full council member. You have no protection under council law. Your people are legal salvage." Sarah looked at Krell. The observer nodded sadly. "He is technically correct. Earth's status is complicated. You are recognized but not fully integrated. The Dreth are exploiting a legal loophole." "Then we close that loophole," Sarah said coldly. She switched back to the Dreth channel. "You have 30 seconds to alter course. After that, we will consider you hostile invaders." Laughter came through the speaker. "You have no weapons that can stop us humans. We have studied your military capabilities. You are primitives with chemical rockets and kinetic weapons. Our shields can deflect anything you possess." "You are wrong, but you will learn that soon enough." Sarah cut the transmission. "Rodriguez, status?" "Field generators at 70%, 3 minutes to full power." "Push it faster. We need activation in 2 minutes." "Doctor, that is dangerous. The safety protocols require a gradual power increase." "Override the protocols. This is an emergency." Rodriguez hesitated for only a second, then started entering commands. "Overriding safety systems. Acceleration power increase. Fields will be ready in 90 seconds. The facility shook as power surged through the Bhatti units. Lights flickered. Equipment sparked. The hum became a roar that Sarah could feel in her bones. "Field stability?" she asked Amara. "Marginal. We are pushing too hard too fast, but it should hold." Should. That word made Sarah want to scream. But there was no alternative. The Dreth ships crossed into Earth's defensive perimeter. Alarms screamed warnings. General Hartley's voice came over the communication system. All ships prepare to engage. Fire on my command. Belay that order, Sarah shouted. Give me 10 more seconds. 10 seconds. That was all she needed. The Bhatti units were almost ready. The fields were expanding. She could see it on her displays. 3 overlapping spheres of altered reality, growing larger by the second. The Dreth ships began firing. Energy beams lanced toward Earth's defense satellites. Explosions bloomed in space. Human ships started to return fire, but their weapons bounced harmlessly off the Dreth shields. 5 seconds, Rodriguez counted down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fields at full power. Activate, Sarah commanded. All 3 Bhatti units engaged simultaneously. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The Dreth ships simply stopped. Their engines cut out. Their shields collapsed. Their weapons went dark. But something else happened too. Something Sarah had not anticipated. The 3 Bhatti fields, overlapping in space, began to interact with each other. They resonated, amplified. The combined fields suddenly expanded far beyond what any single unit could produce. "Doctor," Amara shouted, "the fields are merging. They are creating a feedback loop." Sarah watched in horror as the blue glow spread across her screens. The field was growing, doubling, tripling. It was engulfing not just the Dreth ships, but Earth's entire orbital space. The moon was inside the field now. Mars would be soon. "Shut it down," she ordered. "I cannot. The fields have synchronized. They are feeding off each other. If I shut down one unit, the others will become unstable." Sarah's mind raced. She had seconds to make a decision. Shut down all units and hope the Dreth ships remain disabled, or let the field continue growing and risk a quantum cascade on a solar system scale. "Amara, can we control the expansion?" "Maybe, if we can adjust the field harmonics to match across all 3 units. But I have never done that before. I do not know if it will work." "Try. We have no other choice." Amara's hands flew over her controls. She was adjusting thousands of parameters simultaneously, trying to find the right balance. Sarah watched the field continue to expand. It was beyond Earth now, beyond the moon. It was approaching the orbit of Mars. "Come on," Sarah whispered. "Come on." "I think I have it," Amara said. "Adjusting harmonic frequency in 3, 2, 1, now." The field's expansion slowed, stopped. For one terrible moment, Sarah thought it would collapse entirely. Then it stabilized. 3 overlapping spheres, perfectly synchronized, covering a space larger than Earth's entire defensive zone. "Status?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "Field is stable. Power consumption is enormous but manageable. We can maintain this for maybe 2 hours before the reactors overheat." Sarah looked at her displays. The Dreth ships were completely disabled, dead in space. The Dreth had come to capture humans. Instead, they had become prisoners themselves. President Morrison appeared on screen. "Dr. Chen, what just happened?" "We discovered something new about the Bhatti technology, Madam President. Multiple units can synchronize their fields. The combined effect is much more powerful than individual units. We just created the largest probability manipulation field in recorded history." "Is that good or bad?" Sarah thought about that question. "I honestly do not know yet, but the Dreth Collective just learned the same lesson as the Zenith. Earth can defend itself, and every time someone attacks us, we get better at it." The Dreth ships hung motionless in space like insects trapped in amber. General Hartley coordinated boarding operations, while Sarah worked to keep the Bhatti field stable. It had been an hour since the synchronized activation. The reactors were heating up. Time was running out. "Doctor," Rodriguez said, "the power drain is accelerating. At this rate, we have 40 minutes before we risk catastrophic failure." Sarah studied her readouts. The synchronized field was consuming energy at an impossible rate. It was like trying to hold back an ocean with a dam made of paper. But shutting down now would free the Dreth ships, and Earth's forces were not ready to engage them in conventional combat. "Can we transfer more power from the civilian grid?" she asked. "We are already pulling 90% of Earth's total power generation. If we take more, entire cities will go dark. Hospitals, life support systems, everything." "What about the lunar reactors?" "Already redirected. Mars colonies too. Every power source in the solar system is feeding the Bhatti units right now." Sarah made a decision. "Contact the boarding teams. Tell them they have 30 minutes to secure those Dreth ships. After that, we shut down whether they are done or not." General Hartley appeared on screen. "30 minutes is not enough time. We need at least 2 hours to properly secure 15 vessels." "General, in 30 minutes, the Bhatti reactors will begin melting down. If that happens, the field collapse will be uncontrolled. It could destroy everything in the affected area, including Earth." The general swore under his breath. "Understood. We will work faster." Outside in space, human soldiers moved from ship to ship. The Dreth crews were unconscious, affected by the probability field's manipulation of their neurochemistry. That had been an unexpected benefit. Sarah had adjusted the field to increase the weight of certain elements in the Dreth nervous systems. The effect was like a powerful sedative, but it would not last forever. Once the field dropped, the Dreth would wake up, and they would be very angry. Amara worked at a console nearby. "Dr. Chen, I am detecting something strange. The field is not just affecting the Dreth ships. It is affecting their communications too. They are sending constant distress signals, but the signals are not getting through. The probability field is somehow blocking their transmissions." "How is that possible?" "We designed the field to affect matter, not electromagnetic radiation. I think it is a side effect of the synchronized fields. The overlapping zones are creating what I can only describe as reality boundaries. Information cannot cross those boundaries normally. It is like the inside of the field and the outside of the field are different universes." Sarah felt excitement despite the danger. "Can we control that effect?" "Theoretically, yes. If we can fine-tune the field harmonics, we might be able to create selective barriers, block some types of information while allowing others through. That would be incredibly useful, but we can test it later. Right now, we need to focus on keeping this field stable for 28 more minutes." The facility shook suddenly. Alarms blared. Sarah grabbed her console to steady herself. "What was that?" she shouted. "One of the reactors just spiked," Rodriguez reported. "Temperature jumped 15% in 3 seconds. The cooling system is struggling to compensate." "Can we shut down just that one reactor?" "Not without destabilizing the entire field. All 3 units are linked now. They function as one system." Sarah pulled up the reactor diagnostics. The numbers were bad. Really bad. The coolant temperature was approaching critical levels. If it got much hotter, the reactor core would breach. That would trigger an automatic emergency shutdown of all systems. And when that happened, the field would collapse instantly and chaotically. "Amara, can we reduce the field intensity? Lower the power consumption?" "Yes, but that would weaken the field. The Dreth ships might regain partial functionality. Better than a reactor meltdown. Reduce field strength by 20%. Reducing now." The hum of the Bhatti units changed pitch, became quieter. The blue glow on the monitors dimmed slightly. Sarah watched the Dreth ships carefully. They remained motionless. "Good. Reactor temperature stabilizing," Rodriguez said with relief. "We bought ourselves some time." "How much time?" "Maybe 15 more minutes." Sarah opened a channel to General Hartley. "General, we have 15 minutes. That is final. Get your people out of those ships now. We still have 4 vessels to secure. Then leave them. I would rather let 4 ships escape than lose Earth." The general did not argue. "All teams fall back to the primary vessels. Leave the outer ships. Move, move, move." Sarah watched the chronometer count down. 14 minutes, 13, 12. Each second felt like an hour. She could see the boarding teams evacuating on the tactical displays. They were moving as fast as they could, but it still seemed too slow. At 10 minutes, one of the council observers entered the control room. It was Krell, the Vasi diplomat. He looked worried. Dr. Chen, I have been monitoring your communications. You are in serious danger. Yes, we know. We are handling it. You do not understand. The Dreth ships you captured are not the entire force. They are just the vanguard. A larger fleet is approaching. It will arrive in approximately 6 hours. Sarah felt her stomach drop. How many ships? 50, maybe 60, all heavily armed. Why did the council not warn us about this? We only just detected them ourselves. They were hiding in the asteroid belt, waiting. The Dreth were smarter than we thought. They sent a small force first to test your defenses. When that force was captured, the main fleet began its approach. Sarah did not need to do the math. 60 ships, in 6 hours. And Earth's most powerful weapon would need at least 12 hours to cool down and recharge after this activation. They would be defenseless when the real attack came. We need to destroy these captured ships immediately, Amara said. Leave nothing for the Dreth to recover. Make the cost of attacking Earth too high to bear. No, Sarah said. That is exactly what they expect. They sent these ships knowing we would capture them. They want us to waste our strength destroying the vanguard while the main fleet approaches unopposed. Then what do we do? Sarah thought frantically. There had to be a way, some strategy that would work. She looked at the Bhatti field on her displays. 3 synchronized units, creating a space where reality itself could be rewritten. An idea formed. Dangerous, possibly insane, but maybe their only chance. Krell, she said, can you contact the Dreth main fleet? Open a negotiation channel? Possibly, but they will not negotiate. The Dreth do not bargain once they have committed to an attack. We are not going to bargain. We are going to show them something they need to see. Sarah turned to her team. Rodriguez, I need you to modify the field parameters. I want to create a localized reality distortion around one of the captured Dreth ships. Something visible from a distance. Something that will terrify anyone who sees it. What kind of distortion? Make matter unstable in that region. Cause the ship to slowly break apart at the atomic level. But slowly, visibly. I want it to look like the ship is dissolving into nothing. Rodriguez's eyes went wide. That is cruel, Doctor. The Dreth crew on that ship will be conscious for part of the process. They came here to kidnap thousands of humans and sell them as slaves. I am not feeling merciful. Sarah's voice was hard. Do it. Rodriguez hesitated, then nodded. It will take 5 minutes to recalibrate the field. You have 3. While Rodriguez worked, Sarah contacted General Hartley and President Morrison. She explained her plan. Both were silent for a moment. You want to use psychological warfare, the president said finally. Make an example of one ship to frighten the others. Yes, Madam President. The Dreth need to understand that attacking Earth comes with consequences. Real, terrible consequences. If we can convince the main fleet to turn back, we save lives on both sides. What if it does not work? What if it just makes them angrier? Then we buy time. Time for the Bhatti units to recharge. Time to evacuate civilians. Time to prepare additional defenses. Any delay helps us. General Hartley spoke. I support this plan. It is harsh, but war is harsh. If we can end this without a battle, we should try. President Morrison took a long breath. Very well. Proceed, Dr. Chen. But I will take responsibility for this decision. If the galaxy condemns us for this action, I will face that judgment. Sarah felt the weight of that decision. She was about to demonstrate the most terrible aspect of the Bhatti technology. Not its ability to disable ships or manipulate matter for construction, but its ability to unmake things. to reduce complex structures to their base components, and then to nothing at all. Field modifications complete, Rodriguez said quietly. Target locked on Dreth Vessel 7. Activate the distortion field. Activating. On the monitors, Sarah watched the effect begin. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the surface of the Dreth ship began to shimmer. Pieces of the hull started flaking away, like paint peeling from a wall. But instead of falling, the flakes simply dissolved into empty space. Vanished. The process accelerated. Larger sections of the ship began to break apart. Equipment drifted away and disappeared. The interior became visible as the outer hull vanished layer by layer. And through it all, the Dreth crew inside could be seen, panicking, trying to escape a ship that was slowly ceasing to exist around them. Sarah wanted to look away, but she forced herself to watch. This was her decision, her responsibility. Open the channel to the Dreth main fleet, she ordered Krell. The Vasi diplomat worked his controls. Channel open. They are receiving. Sarah spoke into the microphone. Her voice was steady, cold. Attention, Dreth Collective. This is Earth Defense Command. We have captured your vanguard force. We are now demonstrating the consequences of attacking our world. Watch carefully. She transmitted the video feed of the dissolving ship. Let them see what the Bhatti could do. Let them understand the cost of threatening humanity. Your main fleet is approaching, Sarah continued. You have 6 hours to turn back. If you continue your attack, every ship in your fleet will suffer the same fate as the vessel you are watching. We will not capture you. We will not negotiate. We will simply erase you from existence. The choice is yours. She cut the transmission. The control room was silent. Everyone stared at the monitors, at the Dreth ship that was now mostly gone, just a skeleton of its former structure. In another minute, even that would be nothing. Do you think they will turn back? Amara asked softly. I do not know, Sarah admitted, but we will find out soon enough. The Dreth ship vanished completely. Where once there had been a massive vessel, now there was only empty space. Not even debris remained. The Bhatti field had unmated at the quantum level. Sarah felt sick. She had just killed hundreds of beings, killed them in a horrible way, for strategy, for deterrence, for survival. Doctor, Rodriguez said, the other captured ships are transmitting. They are all begging us not to do to them what we did to Ship 7. Tell them we will not, as long as their main fleet withdraws. Sarah looked at the chronometer. 5 minutes until field shutdown. Everyone prepare for deactivation sequence. We are almost out of time. The 3 hours after the field shutdown were among the longest of Sarah's life. The Bhatti units were offline, cooling down slowly. Earth's defense forces watched the approaching Dreth fleet with growing anxiety. Would Sarah's demonstration work? Or had she just made the enemy more determined to destroy them? Sarah sat in the control room, staring at a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. She had not slept since the crisis began. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the Dreth ship dissolving, heard the screams that must have come from inside. Amara sat down next to her. You did what you had to do. Did I? I killed hundreds of beings to send a message. That makes me no better than the Zenith, no better than the Dreth themselves. No, it makes you a leader who made a hard choice to protect billions. There is a difference. Is there? How do we decide which lives matter more? Who gets to make that judgment? Amara was quiet for a moment. I do not have a good answer for that, but I know this. If you had not demonstrated the weapon's power, the Dreth would not have hesitated to attack. They would have enslaved every human they could capture. Children, families, everyone. Your actions saved lives, maybe millions of lives. Sarah wanted to believe that, but the guilt sat heavy in her chest anyway. Rodriguez interrupted their conversation. Doctor, we have movement. The Dreth main fleet is changing course. Sarah jumped to her feet. Which way? Away from Earth. They are turning back. Relief flooded through her. It had worked. The demonstration had convinced the Dreth that Earth was too dangerous to attack. They were retreating. General Hartley appeared on screen, smiling for the first time in days. Dr. Chen, it appears your strategy was successful. The Dreth are leaving our space. Long-range scans show their entire fleet is withdrawing. What about the captured ships? Sarah asked. We have secured 11 of them. The crews are in custody. The other 4 escaped during the confusion, but our defense forces are tracking them. They will not make it past Jupiter. President Morrison joined the call. Dr. Chen, General, this is a significant victory, but we need to discuss what happens next. The galaxy just witnessed Earth demonstrate a weapon that can erase matter from existence. That will have consequences. What kind of consequences, Madam President? Sarah asked. Political ones, military ones. The Council is already calling for an emergency session. Some species are terrified of us now. Others see us as potential allies. And some see us as a threat that needs to be eliminated. So we defended ourselves successfully, and now we are in more danger than before? Welcome to galactic politics, Doctor. Power is both a shield and a target. Observer Krell entered the control room. The Vasi looked exhausted. Dr. Chen, I have been authorized to deliver a message from the Galactic Council. You are being invited to Terminus 7. The Council wants to discuss Earth's status and the Bhatti technology in person. When? Sarah asked. Immediately. A Council ship is already en route to collect you. It will arrive in 6 hours. Sarah looked at President Morrison. Madam President, I am a scientist, not a diplomat. Should not Ambassador Chen Wei handle this? He will be there too, but the Council wants to speak directly with the creator of the Bhatti. They want to understand not just the technology, but the person who built it. What you believe, what Earth's intentions are. The President paused. Sarah, I need you to go. I need you to convince them that humanity can be trusted with this power. How do I do that? I just used the weapon to commit what some species will call mass murder. You used it to defend Earth from slavers. There is a difference. Make them understand that difference. 6 hours later, Sarah found herself on a Council transport ship, traveling faster than light toward Terminus 7. The ship was beautiful, designed to accommodate multiple species simultaneously. Sarah's quarters had Earth-standard gravity and atmosphere. Down the hall, methane-breathing beings lived in their own environment. The ship was a miniature galaxy, all different species coexisting in one vessel. Ambassador Chen Wei met her in the common area. He looked worried. Sarah, we need to talk before we reach Terminus 7. The political situation is complicated. How complicated? The Council is split into 3 factions. One group wants to welcome Earth as a full member and embrace the Bhatti technology. They see it as a way to defend against aggressive empires like the Zenith. Another group wants to force Earth to dismantle all Bhatti units. They believe the weapon is too dangerous to exist. And a third group wants to quarantine Earth completely, lock humanity in its own solar system, and prevent any contact with the rest of the galaxy. Sarah felt cold. Quarantine? They can do that? If enough Council members vote for it, yes, they would establish a blockade around Earth's system. Any ship trying to leave would be destroyed. Earth would be cut off from galactic civilization. For how long? Indefinitely, until the Council decides humanity has matured enough to be trusted. That could be decades, centuries, forever. Sarah thought about what that would mean. Humanity trapped, unable to explore, unable to trade, unable to grow beyond their own small corner of space. It would be a death sentence for human progress. What can I do to prevent that? She asked. Tell the truth. Make them understand why you built the weapon, why you used it the way you did. Make them see that Earth wants peace, but will fight for survival. Her uncle smiled slightly. Basically, be yourself. You convinced the president to authorize the Bhatti project. You convinced General Hartley to support you. Now you need to convince 200 alien civilizations that humanity deserves a place in the galaxy. No pressure then. Welcome to my world. They arrived at Terminus 7 a day later. The station orbiting the neutral world was enormous. It had to be, to accommodate representatives from so many different species. Sarah and her uncle were escorted to a waiting area outside the main council chamber. Through the transparent walls, Sarah could see the planet below. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked almost like Earth. That was intentional. Terminus 7 had been terraformed millions of years ago, specifically to be a neutral meeting place. They will call you in soon, Chenwei said. Remember, be honest but diplomatic. Show strength but not aggression. And whatever you do not apologize for defending Earth. Apologies are seen as weakness by many galactic species. What about the Dreth ship I destroyed? Should I mention that? Only if they ask. If they do, explain it as a measured response to a direct threat. Do not dwell on it. Do not express too much regret. That is seen as instability. The doors to the council chamber opened. A mechanical voice announced, "Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth, you may enter." Sarah took a deep breath and walked in. The chamber was even larger than she had imagined. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds all turned to watch her enter. She felt very small and very alone. The Archon spoke from its elevated platform. "Dr. Chen, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer questions about the probability manipulation weapon your species has created and deployed. The Council must determine whether Earth represents a stabilizing force or a destabilizing threat to galactic peace. You may make an opening statement." Sarah walked to the center of the chamber. A holographic platform rose beneath her feet, lifting her up so everyone could see her clearly. She looked around at all the alien faces, all the different species, all the different perspectives. She thought about everything that had led to this moment: the zenith threat, the desperate decision to build the Bhatti, the fear and determination that had driven humanity to do the impossible. And she realized something important. Humanity was not on trial here. The galaxy was judging itself, deciding what kind of civilization it wanted to be. One that protected young species, or one that crushed them. One that welcomed innovation, or one that feared it. Sarah began to speak. Her voice was steady, clear, human. "Honorable Council members, I am Dr. Sarah Chen. I am a physicist from Earth. 3 years ago, I was asked to solve an impossible problem. My world was threatened with conquest by a superior military force. We had no allies, no advanced weapons, no hope of conventional victory. We could surrender, die, or find another way." She paused, making eye contact with different representatives. "We chose another way. We looked at the fundamental laws of physics and asked ourselves a question. What if those laws are not absolute? What if reality is more flexible than we thought? That question led to the Bhatti technology, a probability manipulation field that allows us to adjust physical parameters within a limited space. Some of you think this technology is too dangerous to exist. You may be right. It is dangerous. Every time we activate a Bhatti unit, we risk catastrophic failure. We risk creating reality cascades that could destroy everything in the affected area. We know this. We accept this risk because the alternative is worse." Sarah's voice grew stronger. "But let me ask you something. Every species in this chamber has weapons. Ships that can destroy planets. Bombs that can sterilize entire worlds. Biological weapons. Nanoscale weapons. Weapons that attack minds instead of bodies. You all have these things. You all accept the dangers they represent. Why? Because you need them to survive in a dangerous galaxy. Earth is no different. We face the same threats you all face. Aggressive empires, raiders, slavers, pirates. The only difference is that we are young, new. We have only been in space for a few centuries, while some of you have traveled the stars for millions of years. But our youth does not make our need for self-defense any less legitimate. She looked directly at the Archon. The Dreth Collective came to Earth to kidnap and enslave my people. Thousands of humans would have been taken, sold, worked to death in mines and factories across the galaxy. I stopped that. I used the weapon we built to disable their fleet and to show their reinforcements that attacking Earth comes with consequences. Was that wrong? Should I have allowed the kidnappings to proceed? Silence filled the chamber. Sarah continued, I understand your fear. You see a young species with a powerful weapon, and you worry about what we will do with it. But I ask you to see what Earth has already done. We did not use the Bhatti to conquer our neighbors. We did not use it to expand our territory or enforce our will on others. We used it only to defend ourselves. That is all we have ever done. That is all we want to do. If you quarantine Earth, you send a message to every young species in the galaxy. The message is this: innovation is punished. Self-defense is forbidden. Your only options are submission or destruction. Is that the galaxy you want to create? Sarah stepped back, finished with her statement. The chamber erupted in discussion. Representatives talked among themselves, debated, argued. She had said what she needed to say. Now it was up to them to decide humanity's fate. The council debated for 3 days. Sarah spent that time in her quarters, watching news feeds from across the galaxy. The response to her speech was mixed. Some species praised Earth's courage and innovation. Others called for immediate military action against humanity. The galaxy was divided. On the 3rd day, Ambassador Chen Wei came to her room. He looked tired, but hopeful. The council is ready to vote, he said. They will announce their decision in 1 hour. Whatever happens, Sarah, you represented Earth well. You spoke the truth. That is all anyone can do. They walked together to the observation gallery above the council chamber. Other diplomats and observers were already there. Sarah recognized some of them. The Zenith had sent a representative, so had the Dreth. Even the mysterious architects were present, though Observer 7 stood apart from the others. The Archon called the chamber to order. The Galactic Council has considered the matter of Earth and its probability manipulation technology. We have heard arguments from all sides. Now we will vote on 3 separate proposals. First, whether Earth should be granted full Council membership with all rights and responsibilities. Second, whether Earth should be required to dismantle all Bhatti weapons. Third, whether Earth should be quarantined from the rest of galactic civilization. Sarah held her breath. This was it, the moment that would determine humanity's future. On the first proposal, granting Earth full Council membership, the vote is 132 in favor, 59 opposed, 9 abstentions. The motion passes. Relief washed over Sarah. They were not being cast out, but the vote was closer than she had hoped. On the second proposal requiring Earth to dismantle Bhatti weapons, the vote is 73 in favor, 118 opposed, 9 abstentions. The motion fails. Sarah felt her knees go weak. They could keep the weapons. Earth would not be defenseless. On the third proposal, quarantining Earth, the vote is 41 in favor, 157 opposed, 2 abstentions. The motion fails decisively. The gallery erupted in noise. Some beings cheered, others protested. Sarah just stood there trying to process what had happened. Earth had won. Against all odds, humanity had been accepted into the galactic community as a full and equal member. The Archon raised its appendages for silence. The Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign member state with all associated rights. However, this recognition comes with conditions. Earth must continue to accept Council observers at all Bhatti facilities. Earth must participate in joint defense initiatives to protect younger species from aggression. And Earth must share basic Bhatti research data with the Council's Science Directorate to help develop safety protocols. Ambassador Chen Wei whispered to Sarah, "Those are reasonable conditions. Very reasonable. We were expecting much worse. Earth must also," the Archon continued, "establish a dedicated diplomatic corps to work with Council mediation teams. The Council has observed that humanity tends toward aggressive self-defense. This is understandable given your recent experiences, but it must be tempered with diplomatic solutions when possible. In exchange for these commitments, Earth gains full access to Council trade networks, shared defense agreements, and technological exchange programs. Earth will have a voice in Council decisions. Earth will be protected under Council law." The Archon paused. "Welcome to the Galactic Council, people of Earth. May your membership bring peace and prosperity to all." The chamber filled with the sounds of 200 species either applauding or making their equivalent gestures of approval. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. They had done it. Earth had survived not just military threats, but political ones. Humanity had proven itself worthy of respect. Observer 7 approached Sarah as she left the gallery. "Well done, Dr. Chen. Your speech was effective. You appealed to the Council's sense of fairness, rather than trying to justify violence. That was wise." "Will the architects support Earth now?" Sarah asked. "We always have, though our support takes forms you may not always recognize." The being smiled slightly. "The galaxy is watching your species with great interest now. Some with hope, some with fear, all with respect. Use that respect wisely." "What does that mean?" "It means that Earth has become important. You are no longer just another young species struggling to survive. You are a potential leader. Other species will look to you for guidance. That is both an opportunity and a burden." Observer 7 faded away, as the architects often did. Sarah never understood how they did that, just disappeared as if they had never been there at all. She returned to Earth 2 weeks later. The celebration was global. Every nation held festivals. Children were given the day off school. The president declared a new holiday, Survival Day, the day humanity had proven it could defend itself and take its place among the stars. Sarah stood on a stage in front of the research facility. Thousands of people had gathered to hear her speak. Cameras broadcast her image to billions around the world. "Today we celebrate," she said simply. "We celebrate survival. We celebrate acceptance. We celebrate the courage of everyone who believed humanity could do the impossible. But we also remember the cost. People died so that we could reach this moment, both humans and aliens. We honor their sacrifice by committing ourselves to peace whenever possible, and strength when necessary." The crowd cheered. Sarah looked out at all the faces, young and old, every ethnicity, every background, all united in the belief that humanity deserved a future. After the speech, she returned to the lab. Rodriguez, Amara, and Okafor were waiting for her. They had champagne and embarrassed smiles. "To Dr. Chen," Rodriguez said, raising his glass, "the woman who saved Earth." "I did not do it alone," Sarah said. "You all helped. Everyone helped. That is what humanity does best. We work together. We solve problems together. We survive together." They drank and talked for hours about the future, about new research projects, about the other technologies they could develop now that they had Council support and resources. The Bhatti was just the beginning. There was so much more to discover. As the celebration wound down, Sarah found herself alone in the lab, looking at the 3 Bhatti units. They sat dormant now, peaceful, but she knew they could be activated in minutes if needed. Earth's ultimate defense. The weapon that should not exist, but did. President Morrison appeared on a communication screen. "Dr. Chen, I wanted to thank you personally for everything you have done. Earth owes you a debt we can never fully repay." "I just did my job, Madam President." "Your job was to build a weapon. You did that. But you also gave us something more important. Hope. You showed humanity that we can compete with any species in the galaxy, that our youth is not a weakness, but a strength. We think differently. We approach problems differently. That makes us valuable. Sarah thought about that. Madam President, what happens now? The galaxy has accepted us, but there will be other threats. The Zenith will not forget what happened. Neither will the Dreth. And there are probably dozens of other species out there who see Earth as either a target or a rival. Then we prepare. We build more defenses. We forge alliances. We become the kind of civilization that others want as a friend, not an enemy. The president smiled. We have you to lead that effort, if you are willing. Lead what effort? The Council has requested that Earth establish a new department, a research and development division focused on peaceful applications of advanced physics. They want us to share what we have learned, help other species develop better technology, make the galaxy safer for everyone. And they want you to head that division. Sarah felt overwhelmed. Madam President, I am not qualified to lead a galactic research initiative. You built an impossible weapon in a lab that should not have been able to produce it. You convinced the Galactic Council to accept humanity as equals. You are probably the most qualified person in the solar system. The president's expression became serious. I know this is a lot to ask. You have already given so much. If you want to return to civilian research, no one would blame you. But Earth needs you, Sarah. The galaxy needs you. Will you accept this responsibility? Sarah looked around the lab, at the equipment, at the Bhatti units, at everything she had built and fought for. She thought about her uncle's words, about being honest and strong and true to herself. She thought about Observer 7's warning that Earth was becoming important, that other species would look to humanity for guidance. She thought about all the young species out there facing the same challenges Earth had faced, species that needed help, protection, hope. Yes, she said finally, I will do it, but on one condition. Name it. I bring my team with me. Rodriguez, Amara, Okafor, all of them. We work together or not at all. President Morrison smiled. Deal. Welcome to Galactic Leadership, Dr. Chen. The transmission ended. Sarah sat in the quiet lab for a long time. She felt the weight of what she had agreed to. Leading Earth's efforts to share technology and knowledge with the galaxy, building bridges between species, making sure humanity used its power responsibly. It was terrifying, but it was also right. Earth had been given a chance, a rare opportunity for a young species to become something more than just another civilization struggling to survive. They could become leaders, teachers, protectors. Rodriguez came back into the lab, looking for Sarah. Doctor, everyone is heading to dinner. Are you coming? Sarah stood up. Yes, but first, I need you to start working on something. What? A modified Bhatti field, one that can be used for construction instead of defense. I want to show the galaxy that probability manipulation can create, not just destroy. If we are going to teach other species this technology, we need to prove it can be used peacefully. Rodriguez grinned. Back to work already? We just saved the world and got accepted by the Council. Cannot we celebrate for at least a week? We can celebrate while we work. That is the human way, is it not? Always moving forward, always reaching for the next impossible thing. They walked out of the lab together. Outside, the sun was setting. Earth looked peaceful and beautiful. But Sarah knew that peace was fragile. It had to be defended, protected, earned every single day. Somewhere in orbit, the Council observers were filing their reports. Somewhere across the galaxy, other species were watching Earth with curiosity and caution. Somewhere in the darkness of space, new threats were forming, new challenges awaited. But Earth was ready. For the first time in human history, they stood as equals among the stars. They had the weapons to defend themselves, the knowledge to advance, the courage to face whatever came next. The Bhatti 180 had been activated. The weapon they said was impossible to build had proven real, and in doing so, it had changed everything. Humanity was no longer a primitive species hiding on one small planet. They were a galactic power, a force to be respected, a species that could do the impossible when survival demanded it. Sarah looked up at the stars appearing in the darkening sky. Each one represented possibilities, discoveries, adventures, dangers, opportunities. "What are you thinking?" Rodriguez asked. Sarah smiled. "I am thinking about what comes next, about all the impossible things we still have to do, about how far humanity has come and how far we still have to go." Sounds exhausting. It is, but it is also exciting. We get to help shape the galaxy now, make it a little bit better, a little bit safer. That is worth being exhausted for. They walked toward the celebration together, two scientists who had helped save their world. Behind them, the Bhatti units stood silent and waiting, ready to be activated again if needed, ready to defend Earth against any threat. But Sarah hoped they would never be needed again, because the best weapon was the one you never had to use. The best defense was making friends instead of enemies. The best strategy was proving you were too valuable to destroy. Earth had learned these lessons the hard way. Now it was time to teach them to the rest of the galaxy, one species at a time, one discovery at a time, one impossible achievement at a time. The future was uncertain, but it was also full of possibilities. And humanity, as always, would face it together, with courage, creativity, and an unbreakable will to survive and thrive among the stars. The weapon had been activated. The galaxy had taken notice, and nothing would ever be the same again. This was only the beginning.